Welcome back to Project NOMANG. Now, George, what are we doing this episode?
All right, so since last time, if you remember in our last episode, we were planning on making our own mounts to suit the V6 crossmember. Funnily enough, the timing's right. The guys at Tuff Mounts...
The timing couldn't have been better.
Couldn't have been actually better. So they've actually released Barra into Commodore using the V6 crossmember. We've managed to get in touch with the guys. They've been happy to help us out and send us some stuff down. So
fantastic service, by the way.
Awesome service. Turnaround time was unreal. Some t-shirts, some banners. Really happy with the guys' products. Fits like a glove, but we'll show you guys how we fitted them in today. So they gave us some engine mounts and a crossmember to suit the ZF as well, which we'll have to fabricate and make up, but that's part and parcel. We're happy to do that. So we'll do that to start with. Last time we were talking about room for a dump pipe as well. So I've managed to hunt down a VL manual rack. So we're going to get rid of the power steer. So we'll fit the manual rack today. At the same time, we've modified the rack as well to suit offsetting it because we want to move it over one side a bit to get a little bit more clearance as well. So we'll get that done today as well. We'll make the crossmember, fit the rack, and we've also got a front mount intercooler as well that we want to fit as well and see how we go for timing. But yeah, that's where we want to get up to today.
It's a fair bit. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get stuck into it.
Let's go. The joys of being a mechanic, mate. Look at that. And working on dirty shit cars.
You're gonna wreck your killer retro t-shirt.
Available online, $30. Give us a call. Okay, so now we're going to do the crossmember. We'll get the trans and the engine sitting correct level.
As you can see, this Commodore is equipped with radial tune suspension.
You zoomed in on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
My VC Commodore had that.
Yeah. Fucking killer option.
Good marketing, man.
Absolutely. So what I can do is, before we make anything, is I'll cut that, I'll mark that, I'll cut that, and then we'll see where that sits in relation to that, and then we'll chip away and piss fart with that if you want.
Alright. What are we doing, George?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut a little bit more off this side, get that further back, that will drop that down and meet up with there exactly where we want to be. Make sense?
Mint.
Yeah, let's try that. So we'll take probably another 10 mil off that side and see how we go.
Close.
Pretty close. Yeah, we can move that over actually, so that's actually going to work in our favour. And then we can just weld all that up, finish it up, tidy it up. She should be sweet. The only problem is obviously because of that angle, we've increased that diameter.
Yeah.
So we'll when we weld it up, we'll try to keep it central, and then we'll sort of linish it all up and make it look as neat as possible before we powder coat it. Which is a good thing that Tuff Mounts make these slotted, so it gives you a bit of a buffer to muck around with when your measurements aren't as good as mine are. What I might do is I might TIG all this one here. I'll weld all that up because that's more prone to probably move. Yeah, possibly. So I'll weld all that up. We'll let that cool down a little bit, and then we can take it off. And hopefully, when we weld the top half, it doesn't kick in.
She's come up nice, mate.
All in a day's work, mate. Nah, she's good. That's I guess it's a testament to Tuff Mounts products too, man. Nice and easy. They make it fit real easy too. The notching, I really like how the still toasty. The notching of the trans plate there, that one there, the mount plate. That makes life a whole lot easier, you know. So the boys have actually put some thought into that, which is good actually. So and obviously the slotting of the bolt holes here, it's killer. You can't complain with that. So it makes life a whole lot easier, eh?
So before we finalise, we might get that powder coated, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We wouldn't want to throw that underneath the car without coating it of somewhat. Come winter time, that thing will surface rust real quick. So luckily we've got a powder coater next door, so he's not open today, but we'll throw it at him and get it done. For the moment, we'll put it on the car so we can get the rest of our measurements and do the rest of our stuff. But when the time comes, we'll take it back off, and we've got a heap of other products we'll probably want to get coated as well.
Get it all done at once.
Yeah, so I'll give it to him and we'll get it all done at once. Ready to rock and roll, I guess. So motor and box now are mounted, which is a big relief. That helps out heaps actually. So now we can start doing the rest of the stuff. We could probably even measure tail shaft as well, get a tail shaft measurement.
So what are we going to look at now? Maybe that steering rack?
Yes, yeah. So what we'll do is actually, before I do put that in, actually no, I do want to put that in because we're going to hold the motor and box up because we're going to drop the K-frame a little bit as well. So let's go do the, we'll go put that on. It's still a little bit toasty, but I've got leather fingers, so she should be right. Actually, I might throw some gloves on, and we'll throw that in and get the motor and box mounted.
So George,
yes,
why are we removing the steering rack?
Well, because you can't fit a 3.5-inch dump pipe down there, mate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a manual rack, which hasn't got this big hump here. It's got the single shaft in there, so that already gives us a little bit of extra space. And then we're going to move the rack over to give us the space we need in here. That's what we're going to achieve.
So just to save some time, you've already got this.
Yeah, so this is something I prepared a little earlier, but what happens is when we offset the rack, the ratio of the arms changes, and what ends up happening is you lose a little bit of steering lock on one side, which would be turning left, because we've offset the rack to the driver's side over. So turning left, passenger side, it doesn't turn as much. So you end up losing, I think, almost half your turning circle in turning left, which we don't want. So to overcome that, a friend of ours from K&T Mechanical, Tom, told us a little trick that he's done with a couple of his LS conversions when people do the same thing to maintain the factory starter motor. So this, if you're doing LS conversions as well, this is a handy little tip to offset your rack to save on having to get a starter motor relocation kit as well. So this is where this trick came into it. So he told us that a Ford Territory rack end is longer by almost 100 mil, I think it was, maybe a bit more. And then because of the different thread on the rack end, we use a Toyota Camry tie rod end as well, which has the same taper to accommodate the steering arm for the on the Commodore, so that fits in like a glove as well. So using a Toyota Camry tie rod end with a Ford Territory rack end gives us the extra length needed to get the same ratio for full lock to lock steering. So I've done this earlier just to save us some time, and so now we're ready to rock and roll to fit this in and offset it. And obviously, being manual, you can see the different not as chunky in the shaft section there to give us that extra area that we need around there for dump pipes. So yeah, this should go in pretty easy. So what we're going to do now is, once we remove the other rack as well, we're going to have to cut the tabs off on the K-frame and move them and dig them over and go from there. So we'll give that a crack.
The old versus new. So these tabs.
Yeah, so what we need to do is we need to cut the welds off these tabs. So luckily they're not top and bottom, they're just left and right. So we'll slice them out, we'll clean all this area up, and we'll move the tab over here, and then we'll do the same over this side. Cut that out, and move the tab over. Realistically, 20 to usually about an inch. So 20-25 mil we need to move it over, and that will give us the room that we need for the dump pipe, and then we can adjust the rock.
So you can see here where the dump pipe needs to come through here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we want to make sure we've got the clearance for this out the way too. So
we'll have to drop this.
Yeah, so I'll drop the K-frame to make it a little bit easier to work on. So we'll support the engine up. Now that the transmission cross member's holding the trans up, we can hold the engine up from here, undo the engine mounts, 4 bolts that hold the cross member in. We can drop that, and then that can give us the cross member at a bit more workable height.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
So in my car, they obviously had the same issue when they ran the wrong exhaust, so they've just angle grinded the steering knuckle.
Oh, that's nice. Look, it still works. If it works, is it wrong if it still works? Well,
ghetto style.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Bush mechanics get stuff done too, mate. So no, we'll give that a crack. We'll tidy all this up as well, make it a bit easier to work on, and then we'll get to grinding, I guess.
Drift spec steering. So it's looking alright?
Yeah, looking good. And then the only other thing is the steering shaft hits up on the rail lip up here. So when we get the time, we'll go up there, we'll just knock that down, get the clearance that we need over there, and then that can sit correctly in its place there. So with the 3.5 inch stump pipe that we're going to be running, we're planning on, you can see how much more room we've got.
Plenty of room.
Heaps of room now. Big difference, yeah?
Yeah, so you're happy to lock that?
Yep, that's all going to get locked in now, man. So I'll take the K-frame off, we'll finish welding it up, give it a little coat of paint, tidy it up, and then we can finalise it. And then we can work on modifying the rack to accommodate this intermediate shaft, because a lot of guys, when they do the conversion of the VL rack into the early Commodores, or the manual rack, they try to chase down the intermediate shaft to suit that spline there. But the little trick that we've sort of learned along the way to do is we'll show you what to do, but we modify the old rack end to go over the top of that, and we'll weld that in. So we'll piss fart around with that. We'll get that sorted next, and then the steering can all lock into place. We'll clearance that section up the top there as well, so it doesn't hit the rail. Once we've done that, we've got all the clearance we need. Then we can move towards adjusting the tie rod ends to fit in the control arms once we get all that sorted, and then we're ready to rock and roll. The car's back on the floor and steering again, so with the clearancing that we need for a dump pipe. So yeah, we're ready to go. So what we're going to do here is we're going to we'll just slice this section of the rack off, right? So that's the one that fits up to the factory VS intermediate shaft. So we'll cut that off, and then what we'll end up doing is we'll drill out the guts so that it can sit over the top of the manual rack, the VL manual rack. So and then we'll TIG it in, and then that should give us the ability to use the factory intermediate shaft, and then all the modification is done is through the rack. So we're not actually physically touching any of the body stuff, so they're pretty interchangeable if that's the case. You can always revert back to a power steer one if you wanted to. Do you know what I mean? So we'll give that a crack now. We'll cut that off, and then we'll attempt at drilling it.
Sorry, you found a pin.
Yeah, so like I said, I've never done this mod before. Mate of ours told us how to do it. So looks like that pin in there holds that center shaft in. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop that pin out. We'll drop that out. Then that gives us obviously a nice decent pilot hole that we can drill that out enough to slot over the top of the manual rack. So we'll give that a crack.
Well, George, while you're working, I'm doing more important things.
You're lucky, because that was my last one. It was for me. I gave it to you. Because that's what friends are for. Don't show my weakness, mate. This is my weak spot. Have you had these hard to get out, these pins? It's still not moving. Hurry up, this thing's in well. Yeah, but does the pin come out pretty easy? Because this one's not budging.
Success.
Yes, baby. Can you focus?
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah.
All right, so now we can punch the guts out. Now that that's done, we can punch.
So it's effectively a locking pin?
Yes. So now we can drill that big enough to slide over the top of the splines of the VL rack. So now that we've popped the pin out of that, popped the center out, we're able to now drill this out big enough so that we can slot that over that. We might have to get rid of some of these splines to make that a little bit thinner as well, just so we don't end up with too paper thin of a section. And then we'll slot that over the top, sit that there, give that a little weld up on the top, and that will slot in and accommodate the factory VS intermediate shaft. So nice and easy, no intermediate shafts to look for, and when we want to, revert it back if we need to. So nice little mod. Manual rack, piss off the power steering, more room for an air intake, nice neat finish. So one step closer for the Barra.
So at the end of the day, George, I look the same and you're filthy.
Yeah, you've drank beers and recorded all day, and I've done all the hard work, which is nothing new around here, that's for sure.
But on a good side, we've got the engine properly mounted.
Yeah, with the transmission mounted as well now, so we're happy with that. I reckon that's a good step forward.
And the steering rack's in.
Yeah, we got the rack modified, the K-frame modified, the rack manual rack in. So now we can start finalising all that side of things. So
We wanted to maybe do the intercooler today, but we'll leave that for next
no, we'll
time.
leave it for next time. Out of time, I'll do it along the way, and we'll get that done very soon, and we'll start plumbing it up now that the motor's sitting in the right spot. We can do cooler plumbing, mount the turbo, start doing the dump pipe now that we've got the clearancing, do the exhaust. So we can do all the fabricating side of things. I mean, not that today wasn't fabricating, but yeah, we'll start piecing all the big puzzle together.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're sort of ready to take it to the next stage of the electronic side of things and fuel systems and stuff like that. So we're making slow steps forward, but we'll get there. And
I guess a lot of this stuff, it's a necessity, but it's not necessarily exciting.
No,
some of the
it has to be done though.
It
Yeah,
has to be done.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So yeah, no, look, we get there.
But overall, it's not that hard to get
No.
this engine in. It's easier than I
It's
thought
pretty
it would be.
easy. It's almost, we've said it a few times, it's almost made to go in there. I mean, the bays are big enough, the engine's made to fit, like you can't go wrong. So ideally, yeah, we're making good steps forward. We're almost there. Still a lot to do, but around here we'll get it done. Not a problem, easy enough, nothing's too hard. It's been done before, so there's nothing special about it. But no, we'll get it done, we'll get it out there, and yeah, we'll call up a few mates and get some more bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for some turbos, or a turbo.
Turbos?
Yeah. No, we'll wait for one turbo. We'll get one. So yeah, no, we'll get a turbo in next and external gate, and we'll do screamers and all that stuff, because I know you love the Barra screamers.
Please, no screamer. Just put 2 out the bonnet.
Don't tempt me, because
I'm
I will
telling
do
you,
it.
you just can't put a screamer on one of these.
Well, how about we make a bet that I guarantee you she'll sound killer by the time I finish with it.
I know I've won that bet.
You reckon? I've done a few of them, and I reckon they sound better than. Hey, they sound better than an EcoTech V6 with a screamer. Let me tell you, I've heard a few of those in my time as well.
Oh,
So, no, it should be good.
They're probably on par. But
No,
all right,
don't be silly.
that's it. Next episode, we'll get stuck into that. Until then,
See you
see you
later.
next time.